Welcome, boys, to lesson number 4 on the Rebbe's Seder. Today we're going to actually get right into it and start discussing the actual steps of the Seder. Be'ezras Hashem, in this lesson we're going to cover Kadeish, Urchatz, and Karpas, the first 3 stages of the Seder. We're also going to talk about the way the Rebbe did Haseba, the way the Rebbe would lean when he drank the 4 cups of wine and ate matzah during the Seder. The first step of the Seder is Kadeish. That's like any Shabbos or Yom Tif, where we make Kiddush over a cup of wine to thank Hashem for giving us this holy day. On Pesach, since it's Zman Cheruseinu, the time of our freedom, some people have a minhag that by the Seder, they don't pour their own wine for the Arba Kaisis. Somebody else does it for them. However, the Rebbe never let anybody pour his wine. He always did it himself. As Rabbi Yosef Minkowitz, Shliach of the Rebbe in Montreal, remembers,
always the Rebbe poured himself.
Regularly, the minhag Chabad for making Kiddush on a night of Shabbos or Yom Tif is as follows. We pick up the kais with our right hand, pass it over to our left hand, and then, with our 4 fingers straight up and the thumb lying down, we put the kais back into our right hand. The kais should be raised about 3 tfachim, which is 12 inches approximately, off the table, and Kiddush is made standing. On the night of the Seder, the Rebbe followed this order exactly, with only one difference. Rabbi Yisrael Shmutkin, the head shliach of the Rebbe to the state of Wisconsin, who was by the Rebbe's Seder 13 times, describes it.
Speaking about Kiddush, so I have it written, Daniel, that the Rebbe would take the kos with both hands, leave it on the left, and then weglegen on the right.
If you couldn't hear the video clearly, Rabbi Shmutkin was saying that instead of picking it up with the right, passing to the left and putting back in the right, on the night of the Seder, the Rebbe picked up the cup with both hands, left it in his left hand, and then put it back in his right hand. After Kiddush, the Rebbe would drink the first cup of the Arba Kaisis in one shot, as the minhag Chabad is, leaning to the left. And we discussed previously that the Rebbe would lean on a separate chair with 2 pillows next to him. Rabbi Yosef Minkowitz, Shliach of the Rebbe in Montreal, remembers when at the Rebbe's table, they discussed the significance of having 2 pillows to lean on.
So Tafshuch of Zion, Rashag asked the Rebbe that the minhag to take 2 pillows is a minhag al pikabol, and the Rebbe shook his head that it's a pikabol.
The Rebbe agreed with his brother-in-law, the Rashag, that it's important, al pi Kabbalah, to have 2 pillows at the Seder. Remember we talked about last time that it's not always practical when you have a lot of family and guests at your Seder table. But this year with coronavirus, who knows? Maybe you'll just be alone with your own family, and then everybody can have an extra chair with 2 pillows for Haseba. Rabbi Yisrael Shmutkin, the head shliach to Wisconsin, describes how the Rebbe would lean on the nights of the Seder.
The Rebbe would set himself comfortably with 2 pillows, and before taking the cup, he would take after Kiddush, after machen die Broche, or the matzahs, he would move the Kiddush to next to the matzah, to the left of the matzahs, of the kaire. He would settle himself comfortably and leaning on the next chair, and hat sich gesetzen und gegessen, wie man sagt, bei Seder.
When the Rebbe leaned to drink the Arba Kaisis, besides taking the cup, he also took the plate with him and leaned. And he drank the cup just like that. Rabbi Leibel Shapiro, Shliach of the Rebbe and Rosh Yeshiva in Miami, Florida, who was zeichet to be by the Rebbe's Seder many times, remembers this.
And he didn't just take the cup, he took the cup with the tetzel.
Absolutely.
Urchatz, the second step of the Seder, is where we wash our hands in preparation for eating the vegetable of Karpas. Because halacha says that every time you eat a vegetable dipped in a liquid, you have to wash your hands before, just like you do for bread. 3 times on the right and 3 times on the left, without a bracha al netilas yadayim. Rabbi Leibel Shapiro makes an interesting point about Urchatz.
Just to mention that Urchatz, the Rebbe did not bring the Rebbe any water. The Rebbe got up and he went out himself to the kitchen.
What that means is that Urchatz was one of the only steps of the Seder which nobody saw the Rebbe do. The Rebbe did it all by himself in the kitchen. After Urchatz, it's time for step 3, Karpas. dipping the vegetable on the Seder plate into salt water and eating it. There are two interesting things to point out about the way the Rebbe did Karpas. I don't have the whole kaira with me today, but we're just going to focus on the onion, which was the vegetable the Rebbe used for Karpas. The Rebbe would take it off of the kaira and with a knife cut it in half. Then the Rebbe would look to the middle of the onion and carve out a small piece. Once he had the small piece ready, the Rebbe wouldn't just dip it into the salt water right away. Instead, the Rebbe would first add some salt to the salt water, and only then take the piece of onion in his right hand, dip it inside the salt water 3 times, make the bracha beri priya adama, and eat it. The remainder of the onion, the Rebbe would leave off of the kaira. It would not go back on, and so from now on, there were only 5 things left on the kaira.